When everything we consume is the worst thing ever by some mouth breather on the internet, how is anything truly the worst thing ever? Time for the only podcast to officially create a list of the worst movies ever made. The only one. For real. Worst movies ever.
Worst movies ever. Welcome to another episode of Worst Movies Ever. And for my longtime listeners, today is a day you've been waiting for so long. I know you guys just love to hear these dulcet tones speak to you and talk about all these horribly cruddy movies. But today, my Patreon listeners have heard a collab on Worst Movies Ever with this individual. But all of you neuters out there that are not part of my fucking, and you know neuter doesn't mean bad, right? Just means normal person. Any of you that are John Waters fans will fucking know that. If you aren't, what the fuck you doing? Won't listen to my podcast. Anyways, folks, today I'm bringing on old school, not only a dear friend, but contributor to Astro Radio Z and Worst Movies Ever, Mr. Mark the Movie Man, the leader of the Spoiler Room. And how long has it been on YouTube now, Mark? Tell me.
We've been on YouTube 20 years, and the Spoiler Room is starting year 13.
Why? So, why have you done this for 20 years, Mark?
I just don't. I don't know when to stop. I just keep going. I love making content, and I never thought I'd make it 20 years, and it just crept up on me because I'm just making content. I'm making reviews or, podcasts or whatever the hell comes to mind. I never follow any viral thing. And then next thing you know, I'm looking at going, holy crap, I bet that's 20 years.
It goes fast, doesn't it, brother? Man. It goes super fast. But
it's as my wife calls it, it's my hobby. She knows where I'm at when I'm talking with my friends. I'm in the basement.
Yeah, you're not shooting up heroin. You don't have a harem of women that you're out wooing. You're sitting here watching movies. And speaking of watching movies, and you guys know how these collab episodes go here on Worst Movies Ever. I tell the people that come on, well, if you want to be on this podcast, you have to pick a movie. And today, the movie we're going to be talking about, Dinosaur Valley Girls, was picked by Mark the Movie Man. This was made in 1996 by Don Glut, who, Mark, you may not be aware of this, and I do want the history lesson as to why this is the movie that we picked today. I did a podcast recently in the last month, actually, on my Patreon with Ken's. We watched Don Glut's Dances with Werewolves on that podcast,
sure,
which I actually really enjoyed. I thought it was really good. So, I mean, given what it was, I liked it a lot. So I got to ask you, Mark, why Dinosaur Valley Girls here on Worst Movies Ever today?
Well, I mean, we're talking about reviews, and in the remote, once in a great while, a Wild Eye Releasing, if you're not familiar, has been around for 10, 12 years at least, doing indie releases. And they started their own company, their own kind of retro company, their kind of boutique one called Visual Vengeance. And I'm on their mailing list, but I rarely get copies. But I was sent their special Blu-ray extra special edition of Dinosaur Valley Girls. And I watched it because I hadn't heard of this before. And I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, what 80s? And I'm like, wait, 96? And then I looked at the special features on this thing and I'm like, oh, I've got to watch this. It cured blacks and what? And so then I look and I watched it and after watching a lot of the extras on this and that, and then you asked what movie, I'm like, what movie could, Dinosaur Valley Girls. It just popped into my head. So that's why I chose it. I got to see it, didn't really know what it was outside of some schlocky cinema. And I'm like, this would be a fun one to talk to Derek about.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you picked this today. Don Glut is in the realm of trash cinema. He's up there on a lot of people's kind of like Mount Rushmore of bad movie directors. And he only did these kind of movies for a very short amount of time. But this is his debut film, as far as I know.
I wasn't aware that this was his first one.
Well, it's his debut feature film.
Or feature, yeah. Sure.
Feature film. He had done short films and stuff like that. Looking up on his letterbox, there's a lot of films where he was doing kind of like Spider-Man and Captain America versus the Demon and all sorts of other bullshit. But this is his first movie. And having seen Dances with Werewolves, and in that review, for people that want to listen to that podcast, go to the Patreon, patreon.com/worst movies ever. And you can get that episode with me and Ken's, which I'm only on that episode. She watched it with me, but I'm only on that episode. I really enjoyed that movie. Before we get to what we think about this movie, the plot of the movie we're talking about today, Mountain Valley Girls, made 1996, as I had said before, is the story.
Dinosaur Valley Girls.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have Mountain Valley Girls on my fucking notes. What am I doing? I better change that so I don't say that.
There are dinosaurs in this. I mean, there's mountains too of various types, but there's also dinosaurs.
There's quote unquote dinosaurs in this movie, supposedly. Dinosaur Valley Girls is the story of a B-grade action star who wishes on a relic that William Marshall, aka Blackula, gives him to look at. When he wishes upon this, he winds up in a prehistoric times with a tribe of bare-chested women and many stop-motion dinosaurs. So, Mark, seeing how you've seen this multiple times now, what is your general thought and verdict on this film? Do you feel that this deserves to be on the list of the worst movies ever?
I mean, I picked it for us to have fun and talk about it, but no, this is not. This has far more charm than you might expect, and actually a little more story than you might expect.
I'm going to fight you on that one.
Not a lot. Not a lot. I didn't say there was a huge amount, but I'm not saying this is by any means is like a Citizen Kane with tits or anything. No, what I'm saying is,
now that's a tagline if I've ever heard one. You find that fucking movie, send it my way. We'll do an episode of that movie for sure.
Citizen Kane with tits. No, but I found entertainment in the camp and the cheese in it. It surprises me at a couple spots. It does drag. Do I think it's worst movies ever material? No, I've seen so much worse.
This is true.
It's watchable. Okay. It's not the most exciting watch, but it's still watchable. There's still parts enough in here that can get you through it. And some pride. And like I said, for the type of film it is, the surprising thing for me was like and we'll get to the, your good, bads and what the fucks, but basically it surprised me some of the choices they made and what they actually did in this film for what it really is.
Right.
I mean, this is definitely something that would have been like 15 minutes long with a lot of commercial breaks on Up All Night. It would have, it's or on Cinemax or something, late night. It's not great, but yeah, I found charm in it. I liked the effort that they put into this to at least try to give us something more than, oh, here we go, more naked cave women. Though there's plenty of those in here.
That's true.
Actually, the special features on this Blu-ray I got, a lot of them don't even have to do with the movie itself so much as Don Glut's band. It has the entire album they made with the Dinosaur Valley Girls soundtrack, as well as the other music. That's what this Blu-ray has. It's got that. It's got deleted scenes. It's got the actress audition reels. It's got original storyboards. It's got the Mu Wang, the one actress who's one of the cave women. She must have been hanging out with Glut, and I'm not going to speculate, but let's just say she is in his house a lot, and she shows his dinosaur museum. He's got a dinosaur museum and a renowned one. And she does this like 2 different seductive dances to music from the movie. And yeah, it's so, I mean, the extras and stuff, but just finding out about Glute and seeing him, the commentary on here is with Don Glute and C. Courtney Joyner in here.
Wow.
So, you know, I think it was just more of everything surrounding this movie fascinated me more than the movie itself, but parts of the movie really I found entertaining, so it got me through it. So that's why I figured we'd recommend it, because there's some fun parts and there's some really not so fun parts, but not worst movie ever, I don't think.
Well, Mark, my verdict on this thing, after doing his movie Dances with Werewolves on the Patreon, I was really looking forward to this. And I gotta say, unfortunately, this movie was a chore to sit through. It desperately wants to be funny and sexy, and it's woefully neither. And as B fans and trash movie fans, we've seen this movie before. So I was kind of like, what's the point of this? Like, what is going on? And on top of the fact that more than half of this movie is spoken in caveman gibberish.
The caveman gibberish, yes.
It is. This movie is a fucking slog. But having said that, it's not one of the worst movies I've ever seen. There is, as you had said, a lot of charm in sections of this film,
right.
Not so much in others. So, this isn't going on the list of the worst movies ever. But let's do as we do here. Let's get to the good, the bads, and what the fucks.
What is good?
Well, the good, I've got one of the good is well, the professor, like you mentioned, who he gets the charm from. He shows up in here and he's one of the highlights of it, just because
fucking
you're like,
Blackula, man.
It's fucking Black. That's what I'm watching. I'm like, oh shit, he got him in here. You know, it was like,
I got a pop so hard when Blackula showed up on screen. I was just like, because at that point the movie was fairly, like, I was enjoying it for what it was, but Blackula showed up. I'm like, holy fuck.
Well, it's one of those where, you know, I actually enjoy the first part of this film, the story at least part, up until we actually get to your Dinosaur Valley girls. It actually,
agreed.
It's, you know, it's showing that promise, and it's exactly the half-hour mark before he gets transported to the Dinosaur Valley, and then things really slow down, which when you have, you know, the elements you have, which we'll get to, you're like, wait, that slows it down. Yeah, it does. But up until that point, until he gets transported, it actually kind of has your interest. And you're just like, okay, I see what we're doing here. All right. Yeah. And Blackula shows up. You're like, oh, hell yeah. And then we get to the Dinosaur Valley and you're like, okay, caveman speak. That's cute for the first couple minutes. But so, yeah, he was one of my goods, was just having him show up in here as a professor, no less. You know, I mean, you know, just the role he was in general. I just love that. I'm like, I want a movie with this guy.
Oh, he's got such a fucking wonderful voice.
Yes.
William Marshall's voice has this, not just the really deep timbre of his voice, but he's so well spoken that when I could sit and listen to him really say just about anything.
Yeah.
And that's why I was really hoping he'd be in the movie more than he was. He's a very small part of this movie. And I'm sure some of that is budgetary, right?
Oh yeah.
They couldn't afford him.
They had him like a day or half a day. And so they shot the professor scenes, you know, because it was pretty much in one location in that. So that's one of the goods.
Yeah, I think I agree with you that from frame one of this movie, in that first part of the movie, I was in. Like, with the shitty floating head and the barely audible VO that's playing over top. Then you have like stock footage and fucking stop motion dinos and barely clothed bouncing ladies just in the credits.
Yeah.
I was just like, okay, this is what I was fucking looking for in that first section. Like, it takes huge cues from like Fred Olin Ray's era of like Hollywood chainsaw hookers in tone. Yeah. It's really highly camp. There's boobs, lots of boobs. in this movie.
His girlfriend Daphne, I think, is topless more than she is wearing clothes through most of this movie.
Oh, absolutely. And all the acting really screams of like that late 80s, early 90s kind of like Wynorski, Fred Olin Ray camp. Mm-hmm. So and that feels really at home for like the listeners that had heard Andrew and I talk about Hollywood Hot Tub, Scream Queen Hot Tub Party. It feels really in line with that kind of film. So if you're into that kind of stuff, I think there's a lot of charm here for you, at least in that first section. Now,
the second, yeah.
The second, it's still there in the rest of the movie, but I don't want to get to the bads yet, but it's just like it really does slow down to a glacial pace once it gets to that second section. So what other goods you got, Mark?
The stop motion, actually. I mean, like I said, for a film like this, and yeah, it's 96, and Jurassic Park had come out at this point, but to see the stop motion or them to use a Gila monster as a creature, as a dinosaur, was just taking me back to the old school stop motion Land of the Lost, Land Before Time, all of those stop motion type of movies you used to see, people trying to be like Ray Harryhausen. It took me back to those, and I liked that. I thought that was a bit unexpected because, especially in 96, they could have really used some bad CGI or just a hand puppet from one angle, and to the other. But here, no, they've got some practical dinosaur effects. They made a couple of, they molded or, at least bought from someplace a couple of decent looking dinosaur heads, and they do stop motion in here. So, for me, I would say that's one of the goods, just because that at least shows some effort in here, and because that had to take work to make, and it took me back to the dinosaur movies of old. So that's I think the other good for me was that. I would say the third would be our main lead actor.
He really screams like what's the guy's name from Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers? God, it's killing me right now. I forget what his name is off the top of my head, and it's killing me, but he really screams him a lot.
It reminds me, and that's, I think, what part of the thing that I enjoyed about this film, at least the first half, and that is that this really has a Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers vibe to it. Like, you could almost see this character, instead of being an actor, being a detective and getting caught up in this and be like a pseudo sequel to it, in many ways, because the main character is written very similar to it. Jack Chandler was the main character. John Henry Richardson played him.
Yep.
And so he's my third good. I liked him. Even in the slow spots, he's trying his best, this actor, and he's really the only, I feel, outside of Blackula and maybe the, his assistant, the other doctor, he's the only one that feels like he's really putting an effort into anything as far as acting goes, is our main character. I really feel like he's like making the most of this role.
Yeah. Having said that, I don't have any more goods. To say, let's get to the bads.
What is bad?
So the first bad I got is I am really jealous that you got to watch this disc that you got, because I watched this on Fossum.
Oh, okay.
And the transfer on Fossum is absolute dog shit. It has horrible matting where it's just like a tiny section of the screen. So most of my 4K TV was fucking black. And then the resolution is potato levels. Like, it's just really awful transfer. And that's not the movie's fault, but they did choose to upload this to fucking Fossum. It is so fucking terrible. What does the disc you have look like? Is it decent?
The disc looked great. I mean, the movie looked awesome. They really did a good job. I mean, Visual Vengeance does well with these. Like I said, I don't get many of these, but the ones I get, they really do a good job of restoring it. They give you a reversible cover. They give you stickers. The disc itself has art on it. It had a disc menu that for my Discovery episode, which I usually feature the menu, I had to black out parts of it because it featured a whole bunch of rather scantily clad cave women on an animated, menu. But the movie itself looks really good. I mean, it's a really good transfer that I think they pulled from like the original. Yeah, it's a remastered SD from original tape elements. And in the commentary or the behind the scenes, I think it was one of those to where when they approached him to do this, he was surprised that they could actually find the footage.
I believe this was shot on film and then edited on tape.
Mm-hmm. So he didn't realize. So they found it and restored it, and it looks about as good as you could get. And it looks good. I mean, it looks like any one of those retro remasters you've seen, like on Blu-ray and that, where they actually clean it up and the audio is there. There's some color balancing going on. So you actually got some greens and stuff popping through and everything. And the stop motion creatures look really good, actually. So, I mean,
I'm so jealous.
it also, though, being that high transfer, you could tell the cave is so a set.
Absolutely.
Such a set, obviously. And they're shooting this in the same backyard like every other low budget movie that requires a jungle has been shot in.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's bad. That sucks that transfers like that, because they did do a good job in restoring this. I was surprised when I watched it. Actually, I'm like, holy crap, this actually looks pretty decent.
That's great to hear, because a lot of times these companies or whoever, it might have went up well before, that company got a hold of it, right? Mm-hmm. My next bad would be, and I'll get to you with your bads soon. I feel like, imagine a lower rent Jim Wynorski film. Like, that's exactly what this is, complete with endless farting, weird comedy sound effects, actors endlessly speaking gibberish. Like 3/4 of this movie are people fucking just making up shit and talking to each other. It's complete with cave women that have huge fake boobs and makeup, cat fights between women with actual cat sounds, and this movie has absolutely zero plot. Like, once it gets to the prehistoric part of this movie, nothing fucking happens in this movie.
Nope. It does not.
It just it halts. There's no point of showing you where this is going. It just goes and meanders for 3/4 of this movie, and then the end comes up, and it's spoilers.
This is a warning. Thank you.
He goes back to Blackula, and everyone's just like, "Oh, you were gone for 5 minutes," and then he immediately goes back so he can pork that lady some more. The end. That's the whole fucking movie. Nothing fucking happens, Mark.
No, I mean, for me, yeah, I agree with you. The caveman speak was okay for the first couple minutes. Like, okay, I get the gimmick, but it keeps going and it keeps going. But what's hilarious about the caveman speak is they all speak caveman, but they all seem to understand our man perfectly fine when he is asked, "Oh, do I have a girlfriend?" He's like, "No, I've got thousands of women." And she understands that and gets sad. And I'm like, what?
But there's also, remember, there's that one scene where he basically fucks all of the cave women.
Yes. Well, yeah.
And there's no repercussions to this.
Yeah. They run a train on him, so to speak. So for me, yeah, the caveman speak got old really quick. And it's because it just was the same. It was the same words out of everybody constantly.
Toka, 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 toka.
Corn dog, baka, baka. And I'm just like, and then at one point when he's speaking to her, they do a subtitle with the caveman speak.
Oh my fucking God, dude. It happens once. It happens once. It's just like, man, why couldn't we have this the entire fucking movie?
It was, it was that part really got tiresome. So yeah, I agree. The caveman talking, and the caveman parts for sure. I'm into this movie until he gets to the actual Dinosaur Valley. And then another thing you mentioned, I'll go with one of my bads is the pacing there. You are not kidding when it does get to the ladies and the cave women. It just until you get the music video. But before that,
oh my God, that's one of my what the fucks. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
But yeah, it does. It moves in that first half hour, like, okay. And then we get here, and then you're just like really long scenes with him talking to the cave women whose names are Ta-Mi and Bunny. And you basically, they're basically 2-syllable names with a hyphen, the way they pronounce it. And then, he says it back to him like without the pause. And that's supposed to be the joke with it. So yeah, that's for me was it just slows to where I'm just like, where are we going to do something?
I like these kind of movies. I like these kind of farcy, semi-sexy, like adult comedies. But man, I did not laugh once this entire movie. There was just like, there were no jokes in this thing. And I hate to say that stuff. And I also kind of got to disagree with you on the stop motion. Like, I always love seeing stop motion, but maybe it was a transfer that I was watching or what, but this shit was bad. Some of it was good, but then some of it was real bad.
It might have been the transfer because it looks good on the disc. It looked fine. I mean, I say good. I mean, for what it is,
for a low budget
film trying to do stop motion. I'm not kidding when it said it reminded me of the stop motion of those cheesy 50s dinosaur films, and that's what they were going for on purpose though. So, they captured that well, especially when I, watch the behind the scenes stuff and watch the directors and them talk about he enjoys those type of movies. And that's what he was kind of wanted to make. And so I'm like, well, that explains why they did what they did with the dinosaurs. Cause it looks exactly like what he was going for. And I like that. It's just the pacing of whatever story. It's like they came up with some great stuff and then they didn't know where to go from.
Well, some of it is like they have the stop motion and then they cut into obvious, like practical puppeted dinosaurs, which I think for the most part work pretty well. Like that stuff's not too bad. My last bad, and then I'll let you go nuts on whatever else you got that's bad, Mark, is holy shit, is Karen Black collecting a paycheck in this movie?
You hit my other bad. Yeah. Karen Black, there's no reason whatsoever. She's literally in here just to sit around, does like 3 lines and then
that's it.
That's it.
The most collecting a paycheck I've ever seen on a fucking it is so fucking bad. It's terrible. So do you have any other bads?
No, I think we hit them pretty much. Again,
okay.
There's stuff that's mediocre, but I wouldn't say bad. Like I said, mostly the story, and then the story they came up with between the female tribe and the male tribe. The male cavemen were even more annoying.
Thankfully, they were barely anything in this movie.
So yeah, I mean, I think we hit on them. Yeah, the rest of it was just kind of there. Wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great either. It was just
those male like cavemen. There are entire scenes where all you hear are just fart sounds while they're on screen. Like the entire joke is just farting, for like 5 minutes. You're watching like a bunch of guys sitting around a obvious fucking stone set farting. That's the whole fucking joke.
Occasionally they'll be fighting over some sex doll they made out of hay. But other than that,
Yeah, let's get to the what the fucks.
What the fuck is that?
So they made a sex doll out of hay. No.
Okay, Mark, go for it. That's a good what the fuck.
These guys, they cut to this scene. So our main guy, he happens to get taken by the ladies, and they all are like, let's just, have cave woman sex with them. Sorry. They'd say, oh, let's just have cave woman sex. And he's like, okay. And then we cut to the guy tribe who had separated. And you've got one guy who's got literally this female stick figure on some kind of parchment, and he's rubbing on his body. He's like, and there's these two guys fighting over this. Like, you don't know how these dinosaur guys would have made this, but it's a female doll that's meant to be like a sex doll made out of hay and like parchment, and it's got like fake boobs, and they're fighting over it. And at one point they rip it in half. They each like take a half, and it's just like, wait, what?
Jesus Christ. Along that lines, one of my what the fucks is a dinosaur intentionally takes the top off of a woman during an attack, complete with a boing sound when he takes it off.
The boing sound. Oh,
Jesus. Have you guys, listeners, have you gotten the point that this movie, all the jokes are absolutely just sound effects?
They are.
Jesus Christ. Another one of my what the fucks is when we're with Blackula at the museum, they show what's supposed to be a cave drawing of a perfectly rendered in color, like picture that some cave person supposedly drew, and we find out the lore behind this later. It's one of the ladies.
Yeah.
Picture, like drawn, really well drawn in color picture of all of the cave ladies.
Yes.
Like, how the fuck would they have ever done that?
Not only that, but the cave ladies are standing in like this like super group pose. Like you got the one in the middle, and they're all like in the power.
It's like
stance.
the Avengers.
Like the Avengers. Yeah, like a bunch of loincloth wearing Avengers. It's like.
Oh Jesus! Do you got any more what the fucks?
Oh yeah, I got what I don't know what meat Karen Black was chewing on, but at one point they're doing like this thing where the ladies are swooning over our main guy, and then he just cut. They had Karen for like an hour. She's such a collective paycheck. She first was sitting there just playing with some like fang toys, and then she's chewing on what's supposed to be like a meat, like drumstick, but she's not chewing it completely, and it looks plastic, and it just looks like a dog's toy. But she chews on it, and she like pulls some meat off it. I'm like, what the fuck is that? What is she? Because, it's like, it's a prop, and there's no suspension of whatever meat that came from. I'm just like, what is she chewing on? What did you chew on? I'm like boggled, and they stay on this scene for a while because they got Karen Black for a day. And she's chewing. I'm just like, what did they make you eat?
They like strapped something on the back of it for her to.
They had to, because she doesn't like bite into it either. She's like eating the back of it. I'm like, who eats a drumstick? I'm like, what the fuck?
I think, Mark, the biggest what the fuck in this movie
is
the Jurassic Punk music video, 55 minutes in, where we don't just hear a little bit of it. No. We get an entire fucking song of women kind of dancing and stop motion dinosaurs fighting.
Choreographed.
Just out of nowhere, 55 minutes in a movie where nothing is happening, like literally nothing is happening, then all of a sudden a music video happens.
Yeah, complete with colored lighting and
choreographed dances.
Well,
quote unquote dances.
Well, never mind before that. they tease that these ladies can play instruments because they have drums or whatnot that they play this little, and they start to try to dance. And you're like, oh, okay. And then they abandon that. And you're like, oh, well, we won't see that again. And they're like, nope, MTV Jurassic Park, baby. It's like totally this whole montage music video for no apparent reason. I mean, there's no even setup. There's not even a setup. They literally do this fade to black after, because we get to see both our hero and the woman that he falls for, the cave woman, completely naked and making it, and then they pan up and then it fades to black. You're like, huh, okay, that's an odd choice. And then all of a sudden,
Jurassic Punk.
And there's the dinosaurs, suddenly they're whipping around like, Nitro Girls and shit, and you're just like, what? What?
In any other movie, I would be so excited for this because it's creative and it's actually doing something. It's actually doing something. But this movie, by that point, I'll be honest with you, man. I looked at my phone far more than I usually look at my phone while watching this movie, and I'm not proud of it. Because I usually, when I watch these movies, I'm locked in and I sit and pay attention to them. I want to make sure that I'm getting everything this movie's laying down. But by the half-hour point and by the 40-minute point, I was so checked out of this thing that when that popped up, I was like, what the fuck am I looking at right now?
I mean, it's something that you might expect like at the end to play in during the credits, like in a box, you'd see like the credits
totally
scroll, and you'd see this play, they'd play it over, but you got to leave the credits for Dinosaur Valley Girls, Dinosaur, for the other song that Glut's band put together for this film. And then they used temp tracks of, I don't think they got licensing for some of them. But yeah, this music video is probably one of the biggest what the fucks, because you're just like, it's just placed 2/3 of the way into the film there's no setup. There's no anything. Like I said, it literally fades to black. It's like you do a commercial break, only this time it's Jurassic Punk music video. And then we just go back to the movie. Like, yeah, that happened. And you're just like,
yep. Man, I got to tell you, like at the 40-minute mark of this movie, I checked on the time and I hadn't realized how long this movie was. It's an hour and 36 minutes long. And by the 40-minute mark, when I looked at it, I was like, oh no, we have so much more of this left.
So much,
and it's just gibberish going, like people speaking gibberish the entire time. So I had a tough one. What other fucking what the fucks do you have, if you have any?
I think that covers most of it outside of there was there's this subplot that just goes nowhere. I know you're surprised. But there's a subplot that involves a reporter and giving a scathing review to our guy who's a actor and soon to be washed up or whatnot. And she wants to do a better interview with him to kind of humanize him. But then he's like, he's had these visions of dinosaurs. So at random, he just goes, I gotta find out about dinosaurs. And she's like, well, I know a dinosaur expert. And I'm like, what? And then they walk up to the steps and he goes, how'd you find this place? It's literally a museum. It's literally a fucking museum with a fossil expert played by Blackula. But he's like, how'd you find this one? And she's like, I did a fluff piece on this. And I'm like, it's a fucking museum. How do you not, what do you mean? How'd you find this? Kids know where to go to look for dinosaur shit. How did you not know, actor man?
That's funny, man. I got to wrap this up. Like, I hate that I didn't enjoy this more than I did, because this kind of movie is like completely in my wheelhouse. I love this era of B movies because it's just so lighthearted. It's really hard to get upset at any of this. And I know I really dogged this movie because it's just really boring for the most part. And that's my biggest bad for this movie is just really incredibly dull. And that sucks, because I think the first 15 to 20 minutes of this movie is actually quite charming and enjoyable, and was so familiar, having watched, the B grade stuff of Fred Olen Ray and Jim Wynorski and Dave Dakota of that era, that I felt very at home with it. So, I think, like with you, Mark, and I'll let you kind of wrap it up yourself as well. I think I totally could see fans of this type of stuff getting into it, and I know this kind of has an audience to it. But for me, I just kind of walked away wishing that it had a story, that it went anywhere. And ultimately, I think if this movie would have been like 45 minutes to an hour, I might have been more kind to this movie. But at an hour and 36 minutes, this is entirely way too long. Way too long. So, Mark, what do you final thoughts on this thing?
I recommended it because I found charm and enjoyment a bit more than you, but I fully recognize its warts and all. It even gets a little bit of a slog for me. It took a little while longer for it until I realized it wasn't going to go very far after they get to the caveman part, and that they have fits and spurts, I think, where you can see they were trying, and at the end of it, I think part of my enjoyment of this is actually this release, and I'm not plugging it. I'm not paid.
He's part of this. It's a paid sponsorship, guys. Don't be fooled.
I am not paid by any means. I will just say that after watching all the extras and stuff on this, I think that's part of the appeal of this film, is watching and hearing them talk about it, what they were trying to go for with it. And, but I fully recognize it, and it's not a great film. It starts off stronger than it ends, unfortunately. And that's where I was disappointed with it, was just that I was like, if you just made a few changes and a few different decisions, this actually could be really kind of fun, early full moon type of entertainment schlock. But it seems like it runs out of gas, like they had this idea, but it just kind of, and not so much budget as just idea. Like, it kind of fades for the most part. And that's my disappointment. But you're right. If you're fans of stuff like this, if you enjoy Vice Academy movies,
100%, 100%.
It's in that vein, especially the later like Vice Academy movies. If you enjoy kind of those types of comedies from this era, then you're going to find it perfectly fine.
If it's funny you bring up that this totally feels like a Rick Sloan movie. It has that feeling to it. And having said that, like, I thought, and I'm going to recommend not just my listeners, but also you, Mark, check out Dances with Werewolves. I found that to be the non-full moon movie that I had been looking for a long time. And I found that movie to be extremely enjoyable. So I would recommend people, I definitely want to check out more Don Glutt stuff, because it seems like, even though I dog this movie, it seems like his heart's in the right place. He's definitely one of us. He definitely likes this kind of shit. So I got to give a thumbs up to him for that, for sure. But ultimately, this one just wasn't it. So that's all I got for Dinosaur Valley Girls here on this episode. Mark, thank you so much for doing this. And you will be on again in the future, and we'll see what you have for me next time. They all can't be winners, bud. It is what it is.
No, but I mean, I'm just fine that you didn't find it the worst movie ever. I'm happy you didn't put it there yet.
Well, you know how this works. It's a democratic vote. So if I would have said no and you said yes, that means it's not going on.
True enough. So thank you as always. Yes.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
Oh, of course. Well, Mark, I don't do a lot of shilling on this podcast, but obviously, as we had kind of shilled for you off the bat, is there anything you want to lead my listeners towards after they listen to this astounding, record-breaking podcast today?
Well, when you and me talking about movies in general, who knows where it's going to go. But if anyone that is at all interested in what I do, specialmarkproductions.com for all your Movie Man needs. You go there. You got my links to YouTube, TikTok, Spotify. They've got archive links there. I do some written reviews occasionally. I can't stay in one lane. But if you go to that, or if you look on YouTube, Special Mark Productions, I come up fairly quickly because I've been there long enough. But yeah, we do reviews, podcasts, whatever comes to mind, sometimes short videos with other, as I said, 20th anniversary. I got some kind of big ideas. Hopefully I can come to fruition, including some maybe fictional short films and such coming up this year. I hope to get to. So stuff like that. But yeah, thank you, Derek, as always, my brother. It is such a pleasure.
Love you, my man. So, guys, listeners of the podcast, next episode, I'm going to be talking about the seventh Children of the Corn movie called Children of the Corn Revelations. That's
my God.
You're all wondering, why would you even bother with that?
Oh, my Lord.
Well, tune in next episode. You'll find out. Mark, have you ever seen this gimmick?
Yeah, I have, actually.
Do you want to give my listeners a preview of what that movie is like? What are your thoughts on that one? Just a short little elevator pitch.
It feels like I'm being dragged naked over a pile of hot burning corn. That's what it feels like.
And that's what you get to look forward to next episode of Worst Movies Ever, folks. Please, thanks for listening and take care. Bye.
Worst Movies Ever podcast is executive produced by Vaughn Koolmeyer and Shannon Smith. For more Worst Movies Ever, and to make the Doctor watch your worst movies ever, subscribe to the Worst Movies Ever Patreon at patreon.com/Worst Movies Ever. There you will get a monthly exclusive WME podcast plucked from the user-generated film list, randomized episode to episode. Until next time, celebrate trash at all costs. Toodles.